What's up, party people? The sun is finally out, and I'm gonna talk about Mercury in Leo. So I actually know quite a bit of people who have this, but I've never really thought about it too much. So this should be uh, pretty interesting. So I'm gonna break up Mercury into three different sections. First, I'm gonna talk about your communication style. Secondly, I'm gonna talk about the way that you think and process information in your head. And the third is the kind of knowledge that you have a unique access to. So first off, communication. When you have your Mercury in Leo, you're pretty dramatic. People are going to know that you've got this very creative style of expression. You might be like, oh my God, you guys, guess what happened? And, really amp up the energy level and get people's interest, because Mercury in Leo is an entertainer with their words. They want to inspire you and make you feel passionate and excited. They like to bring a lot of fun and fire into the way that they speak to you. So they like it to be very exaggerated. Leo and Mercury is someone that loves to tell stories, and they might, change a little bit of the details to make it more entertaining and that kind of a thing. They're not one to necessarily lie, but they have a little bit of creative license in the way that they communicate. They also usually try to reflect, if they're telling a story where they're involved in any kind of way, they tend to spin it so that they come off looking like they're in a good light, if that makes sense. They will focus on the more positive actions that they took, or maybe they were really cool because they did X, Y, and Z. And they tend to focus the point of view from their own point of view, no matter what was happening. Even if they observed person A and person B doing something really wild and spectacular, they're also going to definitely reflect on how that affected them and their part in the whole story when they're talking to you. Because they like to center it back to themselves, and they take a lot of pride in the communication. They want to communicate in a way that grabs your attention, and that's a lot of the reason why they're so extra behind their words. They want to be admired for their language, and that is where this Leo comes. It's with your Mercury, and that's where you want to take pride in yourself. So Leo Mercury is someone that could develop kind of manipulative traits in order to get this attention through their words. They do not like to be ignored. They don't like it when they're not being paid attention to. So they might get extra loud and extra boastful to take up that space in a situation when they feel like they're not being heard. Especially in a group, they might resort to more kind of annoying or aggressive traits that Leo can have when they really need to be seen or heard. Mercury in Leo is someone that's going to communicate when their ego has been damaged. They will be very defensive about that, and they can get very angry and very aggressive and kind of like breathe fire almost at you. And that's how they'll communicate that you have frustrated them with your words. If you slander them or bully them or anything like that, they will go right back at you twofold to kind of defend their own sense of persona through the way that they're able to speak to you. So they like to be talked to in a very respectful tone. They like to have a certain air of authority about them and really be looked up to. If you're talking to someone like this, really try and play to their Mercury and Leo selves. If you're talking to someone that has a Mercury and Leo, give them a compliment, listen to them, be interested in what they're saying, and just kind of engage them, and they'll really have a great time talking to you. So the way that they think, Mercury and Leo definitely thinks a lot about their image, and their confidence levels and their happiness and how they want to have fun that day, and kind of how they want to control and deal with a day every day. Mercury in Leo isn't necessarily someone that thinks too far ahead into the future. They're very fixated on their immediate surroundings, their immediate environment, how they're feeling, what they need to do, their own personal needs and etc. that they want to kind of flesh out in their head. They like to think about their own body, their own space, their own resources, what they have, what they want to accumulate, and they also they like to think about things that excite them. So they like to kind of construct these really fun adventures to do. They like to think about things that they can maybe buy or eat, or people that they can hang out with, or TV that they can watch. Like, they like to have kind of a repertoire of ideas that they can cycle through that they know will entertain them. They like to be entertained through their mind. So if they are bored with their own thoughts, typically Mercury in Leo becomes a very extroverted person, because they're trying to constantly keep their mind stimulated and entertained through various means. And one of the easiest way for them to do that is to just go out and engage with another person. Leo, even though they are a bit self-centered, is a very family-oriented sign. Leo is the king. They want to rule and dominate over a collective of people. Whether or not that dynamic is also held by all of the other people in that group doesn't really matter, because that's how it's going to feel in their head, that they are the center of their social tribe. But what is important is that even though they see themselves as, a really integral part, a life-giving entity and a necessity for all of their friends and family, and there's nothing wrong with that, they also think about every single individual and how they're doing and what they need. So in that sense, Leo is very selfless. They think about themselves first, yes, but only because they're trying to protect and uplift and be there for everyone in their lives. So they like to think about their loved ones quite a bit and how to make other people happy. They're constantly trying to think of things to do to make somebody laugh, or make someone, like cheer somebody up, maybe buy them a nice gift, take them out somewhere, call them, send them a funny text, tag them in something that they know you're gonna enjoy. They definitely think about other people a lot, and in that way they're very extroverted in their own head. What they have access to in terms of knowledge is certainly happiness and confidence, and having a very good ability to present yourself socially. Mercury in Leo knows how to be the center of attention. They know how to be a star almost, and to just really shine in any kind of a situation. They understand what it means to feel confident and good in yourself and project that out into the world. They understand a lot about happiness and how just keeping a positive attitude, being optimistic, being joyful, smiling, laughing, and entertaining people will really allow you to have a pretty fun life overall. They seem to have a lot of knowledge about the self, though this is something that will take quite a long time to achieve. Mercury in Leo is someone that's going to get a lot of knowledge from their own personal experience and interactions with the world, rather than having it kind of innate. They have to act on it, they have to do it, and then they learn it. That's just kind of their style. So a lot of the knowledge that you have access to will only come after you make certain decisions, start taking certain actions on a consistent basis, really follow through with what your heart is calling for you, and it will be there. And it will be a very individual and specific knowledge to you personally, and it's difficult for me to touch on it because Leo is a very unique and individualized sign. So if you have this Mercury, the knowledge that you have access to is something that nobody else will have access to, unlike a lot of the Mercuries, where everyone can kind of pull and take from one giant pool. You can take from these different areas such as confidence, happiness, etc., performance, art, but it's really something that is learned through motion and learned through movement. and energy, and kind of putting all of these things together, because it's a fire energy. So you're going to have to create a lot of this knowledge yourself. You're going to have to make new information from the resources that you have, and then you'll have access to that because you created it, and then you can put it out into the world for other people to learn. You are more of one that is making new forms of art and entertainment, so that you can teach it to others, rather than necessarily being a student, because you've got to generate it yourself. Sorry if that was a bit repetitive. I just really wanted to get the point across. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting Mercury sign. I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. It seems pretty neutral. It seems very different. It can be a bit disconnected sometimes, but it's really in your body, and it's really in your solar plexus. So in that sense, you are an incredibly intelligent person, very observant, and very able to navigate a social landscape with your own flair. So thank you for watching. I will be back with some other Mercury videos. I'm adding them all to a playlist. If you're interested in having me interpret your birth chart, or if you're interested in learning how to read a birth chart in general, I am doing an online class series where we can do one-on-one Skype sessions going over your chart and teaching you what everything means in terms of the houses and the planets, and really how to read a chart in depth. And I also offer energetic healing for animals if that is something that you're interested in. Please check out my website for more information about all of that, and I'll see you guys soon.